and welcome to Council Catch-Up here on WSTO TV. I'm Derek Westby, your host, and I'm here to talk about the October 28th, 2025 City Council meeting, and I'm here with Mayor Swadley. Welcome.
Good morning.
So the meeting was called to order, and we didn't have any new, or we started with old business. Do you want to talk about Ordinance 30, about the Central Business District?
Sure. We've been updating quite a few of our ordinances to streamline our approval processes. You might recall we did a multifamily residential, we did a pocket neighborhood, and then the central business really lays out what would be permitted and not permitted in the downtown area. And that would also include things like whether it's commercial or residential, whether or not on-site parking would be required.
Okay. And then Ordinance 31, the Art District.
So this one here really focuses more toward the end of the central business district down by the rail corridor area. And there was a section in there that had permitted uses and then non-permitted uses, and there was an amendment to remove all the non-permitted uses.
All right. Then we had Ordinance 32 of 2025 to change the zoning of a couple of parcels.
Yeah, so this one here has to do with just kind of cleaning up some things out at, I believe it was Magnolia Springs. There were some parcels out there and some easements that we've been working on.
Okay. Ordinance 33 relates to no parking on parts of East Street. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, East Street is a dead-end road, and there was a concern brought up by a neighbor about the width of the road and allowing parking on both sides. This one has been back and forth between public safety and the city council, and it was determined to allow parking only on one side of the street.
Okay. And then item number 10 was Ordinance 34 related to designated streets in the Magnolia Springs addition.
Yeah, so we went through, and there's some areas with the new roads that didn't really have any stop signs. So there's an effort to make sure that where there's intersections that we have an ordinance in place so we can install the stop signs.
Okay. Item number 11, Ordinance 35, relating to city committees.
So in our ordinances, we have a list of some committees. There was also probably a dozen of our committees that have formed over the years that had never really had any ordinance language drafted. So we put together some language and tried to make it consistent for all of these new ordinances and include them into our regular ordinances. And more than likely, we'll update the language in ordinances that are currently in there as well.
All right. And then we moved on to new business. Item number 12 was Resolution 144 relating to a conditional use permit for, I believe that's Level Up Fitness?
Yeah, Level Up Fitness is planning on doing an addition. We have to approve the conditional use, which is, a permitted use for that area, and then eventually some plans for that site.
Okay. Resolution 145, an extraterritorial land division in the town of Dunkirk.
Yeah, so the city is a fourth-class city, has extraterritorial jurisdiction, which means anytime something outside the city annexation within a mile and a half, the county, the township, and the city all has to basically approve the plan. Usually it's like a land division for a shed or maybe a home for the farmers or their parents or something like that. So it's pretty standard that we just simply approve them.
All right. Item number 14 was a big one, the 2026 budget.
Yeah, so the 2026 budget we went through at the Finance Committee meeting a couple weeks ago, and then I went through and kind of highlighted some of the key aspects of the budget, and then Director Trebekowski kind of went through the items in her slide presentation. We'll have a public hearing, and then we'll actually formally adopt not only the city budget but the utilities budget at the next meeting. Utilities finance manager Stats was there last night, and she did a presentation on their budget as well. Okay.
So we'll see that in 2 weeks or a couple weeks at the next city council meeting. Resolution 146, authorizing and directing the proper city officials to switch health insurance companies.
Yeah, so the next several items are things that were included in our budget initiatives. And we were looking at a double-digit increase from courts on our health insurance. So HR Director, Risk Management, Gillingham went out and basically shopped out, and group health came in at a 4.9% increase, which saved us, I believe it was like $152,000. So we were able to switch providers. There's very minimal impact. There's like a handful of employees that may have to look for new primary doctors, but for the most part, we'll be able to keep the same doctors that we have. Obviously, we'd like to work with our employees and steer them toward GHC. There would be cost savings long term for the plan at renewal time, but those are conversations we'll be having with staff.
All right, and then Resolution 147 was about a GIS analyst position.
So this is one of the positions that we were able to create because of the savings in the health insurance, and as well as our record net new construction. We've had record construction 3 out of the last 4 years. And basically what that is, there's a formula based on the new value that we create for new housing and commercial development, that we can raise our taxes to that amount. And that basically the theory is since you're growing more, that new taxes that you're generating is distributed amongst more people or more businesses. So it really is a minimal impact to the individual taxpayers. So we were able to present several new staff positions, and this is the first of a few full-timers.
All right, and then we have Resolution 148 and 149 are very similar. They're both machine operators with just a slightly different focus.
Yeah, so the machine operators work out of the Public Works and the Parks Department, and basically they have CDL licenses so they can drive a Bobcat or a snowplow. They do work on streets. So we have a couple different positions. One is focused mostly on streets, and the other one is focused mostly on parks. The parks person, we're also hoping we can find somebody that is willing or has training in the area of horticulture and use their knowledge and expertise to help maintain the stormwater ponds. So we have a lot of prairie grasses, and we really don't have a person to help manage that. We rely on volunteers, but we need somebody to help lead those volunteers.
All right. Resolution 150 is to approve a library assistant for adult services.
So this is a part-time position that they've been requesting for about 6 years. Really gives them better coverage. The library has multiple floors. For safety reasons, we prefer to have 2 people on each floor at all times for supervision and safety, and then also to be able to cover breaks and things like that. So this is a part-time position. We're excited where we're able to fill it for the library.
All right. Resolution 151 is an amendment to the Stormwater Quality Management Plan.
Yeah, this is something that was, I think, previously approved, and we're just cleaning up some language.
Okay. Resolution 152, returning the letter of credit to RHD Properties.
So the letter of credits are typically when we sell a piece of land, or it's like collateral for things like stormwater ponds. Typically on a stormwater pond, there's a 3-year warranty period once it's deemed functioning. And then at the end of that period, we release the letter of credit back to the developers.
All right. And then Resolution 153 is releasing some easements, some utility easements.
Yeah, so this was the one down by Magnolia Springs where they moved some easements, and we'll be getting new ones to replace them for the utilities, and they were all good with it.
All right. Resolution 154 is authorizing and directing proper city officials to appoint the new utilities director as our director to the WPPI Energy Board of Directors.
Yeah, so WPPI is our electric energy provider, and it's a 51-member organization, Wisconsin, Illinois, and Michigan. And traditionally, the utilities director, in this case Adam Schleichter, would be our appointment onto their board. And then the assistant Director Hoops would be kind of the alternate if for some reason Adam wasn't available.
Okay, and then we had Resolution 155 authorizing a denial for an application for a private well.
So this one is out on the Stoughton Trailers property, or the STI property, and they asked us to basically postpone action on this one. they want to have some conversations with the DNR about, there's some state statutes regarding installing wells on these types of properties within the city limits. And then also, one of the thoughts is to use the pond there to basically have fish. So they want to have a conversation with the DNR and understand better what the permitting process would be for that.
All right. Resolution 156 of 2025, approving stormwater management and recreational trail easements.
Yeah, so this is kind of just another cleanup thing that came out, just trying to define the lines better in these areas. So there wasn't really much discussion on that one.
All right. Item number 26 was an appraisal report for some land on Williams Drive. First of all, what would that land be used for? And it says possible acquisition. So
what we're looking for is there's two lots out on Williams Drive, which total about 27 acres. And it's kind of across from Emmy Roth on Williams Drive there. And this came up, you might recall last year during our budget process, we approved money to look at a long-term building for public safety. So it could be police, fire, EMS, all in one building. And as part of that process, we had to identify potential locations where we would build it. This piece of property came up. We also believe that whether we build a new public works, public safety building out there or not, it would be advantageous strategically for us to acquire this property since it's so close to our business park. The utilities are right there. There's also a potential that we could consider it as a location for a new Stoughton Utilities building as well. Or we could just simply expand our business park.
Okay. And then the last item on the agenda was Resolution 143 of 2025, amending Phase 2A development agreement with STI.
So this one involves Stoughton Trailers and then Continental, who is building the Authentics apartments out there behind Sand Hill School. And really the issue is Stoughton Trailers is working on getting access from Greenbrier Road to the north to connect it to Highway B. They have to do some land acquisition in order to put additional turn lanes coming in and out of the development. And Continental made a request to us to make sure that they would be able to secure their financing to have alternative access points if for some reason there's a delay in getting that connection on Highway B completed, as well as there's work being done next year to install a roundabout on Greenbrier coming out to 51 over by the apartments there. So basically we did a couple different traffic impact analysis updates to make sure that as Continental starts constructing their buildings and people start moving in there, that the traffic flow in a worst case scenario, that's if we don't get the access secured on B in a timely manner, or if the DOT is running behind on the 51 roundabout, that the traffic coming down Nygaard to Roby Road would be able to handle what's there right now. And fortunately, the traffic study showed that it will. So that's kind of our contingency plan if everything else falls behind. We don't anticipate that happening. The DOT is scheduled to have that roundabout done really a month before any occupancy would be needed for the apartments, but they just wanted some assurances.
All right, sounds good. That's all we had for the October 28th, 2025 City Council meeting. We'll see you next time on Council Catch Up.